Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Two Scripters, One Pole. I'm your host, Mango. It's hot. That's why I got this fan. It's hot as hell in here. And I was trying to be courteous because I ain't getting mics yet, but I'm getting them. I'm going to get them. I was trying to be courteous because I'm recording from my phone and it be picking up the sounds of the air conditioning. So I be feeling like I'm yelling. So we going to get there one step at a time. Let me start off with announcements. So a couple of things. One, I used to make mosaic frames, picture frames, but I stopped doing that because my mosaic supplier closed. And I haven't found a new one, but I also haven't been in a search for a new one. So I say all that to say, I have these picture frames, and I have all these different picture frames, 4x6, 5x7, and 8x10. And ooh, my bad. I'm gonna get back to that. Took a quick pause because I was sleeping. You know, I be like in my head a little bit sometimes, and it's been hard for me to podcast. So y'all gonna hear a little bit more about that in this week's episode. And let me see, where I have my notes on that? Because me and my cousin was rapping, and we was talking about some kind of sensitive stuff. So I kind of wanted to give a trigger warning, but read the description because I don't have those notes. I don't know where I put them. But read the descriptions because I be working hard trying to type them up to let y'all know what y'all, because sometimes it's a lot. People are like, I don't think I want to listen. Really, you should listen to all of them because I'm hilarious and I have good information. But going off on a tangent, back to what I was talking about. And I took a pause because I started tripping over my words, and I was like, yeah, let's bring it back. You know, you gotta recognize when you're going off, and you gotta bring it back. Anyway, so I'm selling picture frames. We always make it back. 3 different sizes: 4x6, 5x7, 8x10. I am trying to get rid of these. I've been selling these for years, but like I said, or maybe I did say it, I don't know, because I was gonna cut that part out. Maybe no, I'll leave this part in. But yeah, back to it. Selling frames. 3 sizes. I've been selling them for years, but my mosaic supplier went out of business. So in order to save my materials, I only really make mosaics like large pieces, which I'll talk about this one in a moment, which is kind of the theme of this episode. But I'm trying to get rid of my inventory. I'm saying all of that to say I'm getting rid of my inventory. Buy this shit, okay? If you want it, you can have it. 4x6. They come in the colors of the rainbow, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then I have a rainbow one. The rainbow ones are $5 more than just like a solid color one. So my 4x6s are 35 or 40, 5x7 are 45 by 50, and then the 8x10s are 50 by 55. Y'all, I need some sunglasses because I got the flash on the camera and I'm looking directly into it. Hold on. Ooh, y'all. I think that's better because the glare is glaring. And quite honestly, I did a lot of work trying to set this shit up. So I'm not getting up to fix it. Y'all get what I give you. So, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. I also have these Greek letters that I had made briefly, trying to get rid of these. This iota, I only have these 4. I'm not making any more. Like I said, I'm just discontinuing all mosaic things that I did. This iota is 30. Let's turn another light on. 35. I have AKA one, but it's just the A. If you're listening, come over to YouTube so you can see what I'm talking about. I have this one, and then I have a Sigma and a Zeta. So only these 4, first come, first serve, and they are $40. And then, I'm almost done. I got 2 more 4-inch flower pots. They do come with a saucer. I have one over there, but honestly, I'm not getting up again. Like I have one with a plant in it, so you can see the saucer. saucer because the saucer, because of the mosaic tiles, I made the saucer bigger than the original one that came with it. So yeah, I gave you all the prices. If you're interested, I have 2 flower pots. I have different inventory. For the 4x6, I do not have any purples. For the 5x7s, I don't have red, green, or blue. And then for the 8x10s, I do not have any more blue. But if you're interested in any of these things, feel free to email me at kpmosaics@gmail.com. And then we can talk about it. And those prices do include shipping. I got a P.O. box, y'all. I'm official. I got a P.O. box in this hoe. Send me stuff. I guess I should tell y'all the address, but I'll do that in a later episode because, again, I'm not getting up too much work. Second, my workshop went well. The Sensual Flow workshop. Thank you to everybody who did come out. We had a great time, like a really great time. That was my first time teaching any kind of dance class. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for just the energy. Shout out to y'all. I had some ladies and a gent come out. So we will be doing more in the future. Looking at maybe August or September, just depending, because the bitch started grad school and I'm booked and busy, okay? So if you want me to do something, it's a no. It's a no. I'm in the house. I'm having fun though, I'm learning a lot. But selling frames, the workshop went well. Will be happening in August or September. Haven't decided yet, just depending on how the rest of the semester, or I guess not really a semester, it's like a mini semester. It's like a few weeks. I wouldn't call it a semester. But how that plays out. I currently have work at Bowie City Hall displayed until September 6th. Thank you to those of you who have gone out and seen it. And then I also have work at the National Harbor. It's this place called Arts the Nation. It's across from the Starbucks. I do not know when, if you go on Google, sometimes the hours don't always match. So I would just say, if you find yourself in the harbor, or if you find yourself at the harbor, go ahead and check that out. My manifestation series is there, and then I have Diary of an Angry Black Trust Issues and Violet Skies at there's new, I'm almost done, y'all. We're getting there. There is new behind the scenes poll play. So make sure you go to Patreon, patreon.com/2scripters1poll, 2SKRIPPAS1POLE. Also, I didn't spell my Gmail. If you're interested in buying the art, it's kpmosaics, MOSAICS@gmail.com. But yes, back to Patreon. So there is new poll play footage available. It is available in all tiers, so you get to see the behind the scenes of the reels that I make. But the caveat to that is YouTube don't like me. So whenever I post poll videos on YouTube, they flag me, and you do have to have a YouTube account to prove that you are 18 or over, because apparently I make it, but whatever. But that is all the announcements I have. So, Collections Corner, which is now titled Revisions, because I wanted a different name for that, because I got that name from a different podcast that I listened to. My Favorite Murder, I love them. That was the original podcast I started listening to. Georgia and Kara, I feel like my friends, I emailed them. I don't think they read it, but then again, sometimes when I be listening to, I'm on a break from podcasts right now because I just can't listen to other people. I don't even that's why I don't have headphones in. At first I was like, oh, I like the sound of this, but I can't record and listen to myself at the same time. I like to go back. But that's neither here or there. Back to this. I said that. That's why I said that. I said that because I sent y'all, if you happen to be listening to this, I wrote in a story. My listeners sent stories, questions, and topics to but I wrote into theirs, and I told them the story about how I cut my thumb off. And as far as I know, they didn't read it, so I was a little butthurt. It's the emails be emailing and it be a lot. So if y'all come across it, just read it. Anyway, I got corrections corner from them. That's how I got there. So I'm retitling it revisions because that's the teacher in me. I gotta get better at that. But last week I said that we are in Berlin. That is very incorrect. We are not in Berlin. It's benign, but let me ask Siri. Benign is with a G though. G though, not G though. Why won't you speak to me? This is a new setting. Okay, whatever. Well, benign, we are there. Hey y'all, what's up? And we're also in Mexico now, y'all. So that's just my little correction. Send corrections nicely. Tell me, right? You know what? Those of you in this country that I cannot figure out how to pronounce right now. I probably should have done that beforehand, but it happens. So politely tell me how to do it. I can do it after this, but this is a call to action. Y'all need to interact with me. When I tell y'all ask me questions, okay? When I tell y'all to write in corrections, if you hear me say something that's not right, then write it in. I need some interaction. Y'all liking on Instagram, which y'all be leaving me hanging when I be like, oh, comment below, but it's cool. I need some interaction. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Y'all, this Keke Palmer and Usher thing is crazy because I need y'all to realize it's USHER, baby. Okay? It's USHER. I don't think, unless you are like a 90s baby, for real, or like your parents, I guess, yeah, some people. Yeah, oh wow. If you were born in the 2000s, yeah. Wait. No, that wouldn't be the case. Anyway, if you listen to Usher, then you know Usher is the real deal. And now if you've been to a concert, it's otherworldly. So I need you to realize, future partner, wherever you are out there, if it came between you and Usher, it would be Usher always, all right? But I would expect you to do the same because it's him. He just at Dreamville. Shout out to you, Raya. That was a crazy experience. You just had to be there, okay? So I completely, Keke Palmer Baby Daddy need to get it together and just extra stage left because you messing with two icons, Keke Palmer and Usher. Come on now, stop playing with it. Speaking of Usher, 1 in 6 people have herpes. And y'all, I thought I was one of them. I'm not even gonna hold you. So that was a wild statement, but I had a former partner call me, and this is basically the question of the week, or not question of the week, the topic of the week. I don't have a sound effect for that, but I wanted to talk about sexual health, and I also wanted to talk about, for those of you listening, I'm grabbing a piece of artwork off the wall, but I wanted to talk about this piece, which I said I was going to talk about back in Raggedy Phone Thief, which was a bonus episode. Which I have an update on the fucking license plate story, but we'll get to that anyway. I'll talk about that in a different episode. But I said I was going to talk about this piece. It's called Ode to Act Up. And now I decided with all of this that I was going to talk about it here. So anyway, yeah, I thought I had herpes, y'all. I really did, and I was terrified. I had a former partner reach out to me. He was like, yeah, when was the last time you got tested? And I'm very big on testing. I think that the CDC recommends every 6 months. I say if you are active and if you're having multiple partners and you know that your multiple partners are engaging with other people, I would say even go 3 to 6 months. Because sometimes you have STDs that do not show up right away, like HIV, which this piece is a about, and I'm going to talk more about, but herpes, like, symptoms don't always come right away. You can literally go years without experiencing symptoms or outbreaks, and sometimes they don't always show up. So if you are actively engaging in sex, get tested, stay tested. It's like, when you know better, you do better. So, he hit me up and was just like, yeah, when's the last time you got tested? And I'm like, I get tested on a regular, like, what it is, boo, what's up? And he's like, call me real quick. So I'm like, all right. Mind you, it's been a minute since I've messed with this person. And I was like, I'm thinking he about to tell me, like, oh yeah, I think I might have HIV or whatever the case may be, which is something I'm on top of, because as I've disclosed, like, it's a personal, because of my mother, and just I have other family members who are infected too, and I have friends, and it affects an African American population and other minorities more prevalent. Prevalent, is that the word that I want to use? More. We are at higher risk. We always make it there. So he's like, yeah, I'm thinking he about to say something about HIV, and I'm like, well, I'm good. I literally got a test earlier that week. I was like, I'm straight. And he was like, yeah, I think I've been exposed to herpes, but I don't know if it was my partner may have transmitted to me or vice versa, and you was the last person I messed with. And I was like, what? And at first I'm like, no, I'm good. But then I started Googling shit, right? Do not Google shit, because Google be telling you gonna die. So I started Googling shit, and that's when I started getting like really, really anxious. I was like, oh my God, I'm just like, what is going on? And a lot of the stuff that I was saying was talking about, or a lot of the stuff that I was seeing was talking about how, like, 1 in 6 people have herpes. It's a lot more common than we think it is, and it's easily spreadable. And I've heard stories a lot about how people have gotten it off of their first sexual interaction. Like, we really need to take sexual health so much more seriously, and part of that is protection. Even though it's hard, I'm not gonna lie. Like, do we always use a condom? No. We should. We know we should do better. But this is also, if you are deciding not to use protection, this is where it's so important that you are looking at other ways to prevent transmission, and having open and honest conversations with your partner, so at least you'll be able to kind of pinpoint or keep track of what is going on. But safe sex is great sex. But yeah, so he called me, and he's like, I've been exposed, besides my current partner, you're the last person I was with. And I was like, oh my God. So I started doing research, and it started getting me scared, and I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, it was a lot of back and forth talking. It was at a point where I had to wait a few days before I could even go get tested. So it was like a lot of anxiety, like, oh my God, it's so common. Like, what if I've been walking around next, how many other people, like, and I will say, if the person who I am addressing, if you're listening to this, like, I really appreciate you didn't have to, but you did. And again, open and honest conversations, communications, like, you're really dealing with somebody else's health and life. So thank you. I really appreciate that notification. So with that being said, it was like, damn, like, he done told me this. Now I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? Who do I gotta contact? And it was a lot, and I was like, they were in a space where that person had also found out at the same time, so they were notifying me right away. So they didn't know if they just knew they were exposed. They didn't know if they were going to test positive as well. So we were both kind of in that anxiety-ridden space, and trying to navigate that. Fortunate enough to say that I do not have herpes. But it was a very, very stressful 2 weeks trying to process all of that and not get in my head and prepare myself for conversations that I was going to have, whether that was going to be, hey, you might have herpes, or hey, I want you to know that I was experiencing this, and this is something, because I do know one of my partners, well, my only partner, listens to this, hey, and so I don't know, I'm just in a space where, again, I don't know who's listening. Sidebar, Tyler the Creator, you keep popping up on my feed. I think that's a sign, and I know one of your videos was talking, you don't know who's watching, so I'm thinking maybe this is a sign that you watching. Holla at me, boo. And the dog tooth, this is bright, I need my sunglasses. And the dog tooth DMV contest keeps coming on the radio when I'm at work, so I think it's a sign. Hey, go holla at me. But anyway, reeling it back in. So yeah, it was a lot of emotions, a lot of things that I was dealing with. So make sure you get tested and make sure you're having those open and honest conversations with people. And if you do get tested and you do get results that you're not necessarily happy about, know that it is okay. Like, life, it's a shock. Take all the time that you need to process, because it is. Like, you're going to have to make some life changes. But it's not a death sentence. You will be fine. You will be okay. It is always. Remember, even taking it out of STD talk, like, you will always be okay. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might not be next week, might not be next month, might not be in a year. But it's going to happen. I promise you it's going to happen. So I wanted to talk about that experience for me. And I figured that this was like a good time to talk about this piece. So Ode to Act Up, I made this in like 2021. That's neither here nor there, for real. It does light up in the back, and I have it set to do like the rainbow. So I just want to talk about a couple elements real quick. So when you look up Ode to Act Up, you'll often see like this black flag, and it has the pink triangle, and at the bottom it says silence equals death. So this piece is like my interpretation of that. Obviously the pink triangle and then the silence equals death is like a direct call or direct mention to that. And so what does silence equals death mean? Essentially, when you're quiet about things, in this direct instance, during the 80s, this is when ACT UP was founded in 1987 in New York City by Larry. I wrote down notes to try to help me bring it back on track. Where are my sunglasses? It's bright. Sunglasses. By Larry, I'm sorry, I forgot your last name and I didn't write it down. And this was, or is still active, a grassroots organization, political action organization. When you look it up, like, it has a bunch of different categories in which I think maybe that's what I want to say. But definitions or identifications. So the point is that they're raising awareness about the AIDS epidemic. And so in the 80s, AIDS was at a all-time high. Gay men and African Americans were mostly affected. And I'm getting this information from hiv.gov. I'll put the link in the description if you want to do your own research. But I just want to kind of give like a brief timeline of just like what the 80s really looked like. This was a crazy time. Like, you had crack and you had HIV. Crazy. Insane. So it mostly affected gay men and African Americans. And the first AIDS report was in 1981. And they also, that was when the first article came out that year, titling it "The Gay Men's Pneumonia," because HIV is an autoimmune disorder, which is transmitted through sexual. It's transmitted through sex, through blood, and it can be passed on from mother to child during birth, like amniotic sac fluids. But they were seeing it in a lot of gay men, and it's a sexually transmitted autoimmune disorder in which your white blood cells, the ones that are supposed to protect your body from getting sick, like a common cold or just anything, they're supposed to protect your blood cells and all that. The HIV virus attaches to those white blood cells, makes them think that they are poisonous, and the T cells are white cells, they start attacking each other. So your immune system is literally fighting itself. And so when you get sick with other things, other STDs, or even just a common cold, or maybe you have emphysema, or you have COPD, whatever the case may be, your body has a harder time fighting those because your body is fighting itself. So AIDS was exhibiting symptoms of pneumonia, and it was in a lot of gay men. And so, or a lot of gay men were affected by it. So it was labeled quite literally in papers, the gay man's pneumonia. It then, in 1982, it was referred to again as gay-related immune deficiency. So there was more information about how, like, what it was in a sense, but again, it was just like calling out the LGBT community. And so this is where this public perception starts to form of like, oh, this is something that affects gay people. I don't have to worry about this. But also at a time, like, and even still today, LGBT members are not accepted. And so it's still that sense of stigma. So you're calling, this is where silence equals death starts to come in, because it's like, well, you have people who are afraid to go to the doctor if they're exhibiting symptoms because I don't want to be labeled gay if I'm not gay. That's just like, even now, am I guilty of it? Not as much anymore. Do I have friends who are still guilty of it? Yes. Like, you still hear like the no homo thing. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. But I'm not going to get into that. And yeah, I'm not going to get into that. But in 83, Congress starts to fund research for it. Keep in mind, it's not until 85 that Reagan, so this is the Reagan administration. You got crack in the 80s, you got AIDS in the 80s, and you got Reagan leading the fucking country. It's fucking insane. Like, I understand the crackheads though, because it's just like, it's so much going on, right? Anyway, so the first AIDS report was in 1981. It takes Reagan 4 years to even mention AIDS is an issue. And then by 86, a year later, you have an 89% increase. And I know I'm throwing numbers, but like, I'm trying to get y'all to see like how big of a issue this was. Over half, 60% of new cases were children. But you still have it being labeled as this gay disease. And it's just like, well, these children, your young children, you have different ages. They're definitely not having sex. Like, where could this be coming from? And then further stigma of like, oh, well, maybe my husband gave it to me. And it's a lot. So you got people getting sick. You got people. I did write down your name, Larry. It's Larry Kramer. In 87. So first case was in 81. It takes Reagan 4 years to even mention it. By this point, like, we got a lot of people sick and a lot of people starting to die, because HIV turns into AIDS at the point where your viral load, so that's the amount of HIV the virus, how many of those are in your body in relation to your white blood cells, which are meant to protect you. So you hit AIDS when you get to that point of where your viral load outnumbers your white blood cells or protective cells. Where I then 2 years after that, ACT UP was founded by Larry Kramer and is meant to really force change from the government, from pharmaceuticals, from healthcare, from religious. Like, there's all this stigma going around. Nobody wants to speak up. Nobody wants to help. Nobody wants to go get tested for real, because it's like, I'm scared if I go in with symptoms, they're going to think I'm gay or whatever. It's like, you might be a woman, or you may not be gay. Like, it just, it happens. So people are afraid to go seek help, treatment. People are afraid to talk about it in the media, and when they do, it's this negative connotation specifically targeted towards a group of people. And Reagan administration was more focused on the war on drugs, the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. He public enemy number one. That was his focus. So you have all these people dying, all these people getting sick, but you were trying to crack down on drugs, and it's also affecting the African American community. So you have, like, even with weed, like, these disproportionate numbers of people getting locked up, and it's like, well, some people say it's a conspiracy theory that crack was planted. Honestly, somebody had to bring it to the hood. We couldn't go out and get it. Like, we couldn't do cocaine because we ain't had the money, and somebody had to bring it to the hood. So it was planted. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. And look up Tuskegee syphilis study, because that was quite literally a setup. Yeah. So silence equals status. You have the stigma of the personal person not wanting to seek out help, but then you also have the government that is not helping. Pharmaceuticals aren't helping. Like, they're pushing drugs. There's not really a lot of research. And yeah. So back to this. That's where that comes from. And so I have these fists, and I did mixed colors of browns to represent, like, the different skin tones, the different people of color. And then I have this pride flag fist in the middle, because they were also disproportionately represented in, or is that what you're trying to say? They were disproportionately affected as well. So two groups of people, two identities. Oh, y'all, I was like, what is that noise? I thought it was my stomach, but it's my candle. Anyway, and then this, like, red line in the back is just like the awareness ribbon for HIV is red. So I just did that. And so that's this piece. I said all of that to say this piece. And also connecting the silence equals death. Like, when you don't speak up for yourself, when you don't self-advocate, you're slowly dying inside. Like, that's a piece of you that is being taken away and, missing. So just thinking about that. Practice advocacy, self-advocacy, speaking up for yourself, taking matters into your own hands, speaking up for others, or providing platforms for others to be able to self-advocate. And then make sure you're practicing consent, and making sure you're talking to people about what's going on. Consent equals permission. I don't know why. We need to, I was talking to my friend, I'm gonna wrap it up, but I was talking to my friend, and I was telling him a story, and I had used the word consent, and he was like, wait a minute. He thought that the story that I was talking about, I was like, somebody didn't have my consent to do something. And I was talking about a purchase that they made, but because there's this, like, negative connotation attached to the word consent, in his mind, he automatically jumped to, was I assaulted? So rethinking how we look at consent. Consent equals permission. Do you have my permission to talk to me this way? Do you have my permission to do this? Even if we've done X, Y, Z before, do you have my permission in this moment to do that? Or even if I said we started this and I no longer like it, I want you to stop. So you can withdraw permission at any time, for anything, for any reason. No is a full sentence. Stop is a full sentence. And if you hear afterwards, you should stop. So make sure that, let me give myself a round of applause, because that was a lot and that was good though, y'all. It's gonna be okay, right? Make sure you get tested. I can't find, here it is. Great presentation. I gotta get do I need a sound effect for this? I don't know. What sound effect should I get, y'all? I know I need to get the little sparkle thing. Anyway, tangent. Make sure that you get tested. I recommend every 3 to 6 months, but if not, do at least every 6 months. This can really depend on how active you are. Sometimes symptoms don't show. You can transmit without showing those symptoms. You can go years without symptoms. I've read stories about like people who have gone, even perfect example. By the time I was born, the day that I was born, my mom was diagnosed with HIV, and so she found out that she had been living with it for 5 years at that point, and not realizing it. And she was told that she wasn't going to be able to, she was going to die in like the next 5 years. That's what more or less, that's what she was told. And here we are 26 years later, healthy. So it's okay, because I was going to be okay. Make sure you're getting tested, and if your results, it can be scary. Be honest with your partners. Am I always honest with doctors? I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I'm not having sex with you, so what you need to know why I'm bumping and grinding. Like, just know that I'm conscious enough to be here. Like, you don't need to know everything, you know? But be honest, for real, y'all. So this depends on how active you are, symptoms, new partners, if you're in a relationship or not, still get tested, because at the end of the day, you really don't know what somebody else is doing. It's unfortunate. It's okay. You can still have a healthy life and a healthy sex life. Be honest with your partners. When you know better, you do better. Or you can just be celibate, right? And not interact. But you can still get transmissions other ways. But for the most part, you can just avoid that and be celibate, and like go to Balesa and buy a toy and use code BB2S1P and UTS to get 30% off your order. Just bust your own nut, okay? But yeah, y'all, that's that. I think I said everything. Get y'all a new toy. Patreon. Email me for some art. Look out for the next show. Go look at my art. Send questions, stories, topics, corrections to 2scrippers1poll@gmail.com. Patreon, 2scrippers1poll. No, that's not at Gmail. That's to patreon.com/2scrippers1poll. BB2S1P nuts for 30% off at Balesa. And follow us, or me. Follow me on IG at 2scrippers1poll. And for those of you who are already following, 2scrippers1poll the pod is the active page. I think I said everything that I wrote down. So